Desert echoes, they call my name. Drums of the earth, they beat the same. Step to the rhythm, one to blame. Desert echo. Esta noche todo te lo daré. Esta noche todo te lo daré. Grita mi nombre, dime que me quieres. Me pierdo en tus ojos como si fuera nieve.
모든 것이 불타고
빛이 날 막으려. 모두가 그대로 빛나. 도끼도끼 또 말한 나이. 네가 이월마다 밝혀봐. 새가 이제 미미여. 그 자리 닿게.
The best open source AI music generator is here. As you can hear from these demos, unlike previous open source models, this one is actually really clean and good quality. Best of all, this works with low VRAM, and you can even run this on just a CPU. Plus, this is blazing fast. You can generate a full song in seconds. So this is called AceStep 1.5, and in this video I'm going to go over some demos, plus of course I'm going to show you step by step how to install it so you can run it for free and unlimited times offline. And I'm going to show you how to use its in-paint feature so you can micro-edit existing songs, plus I'm going to show you how to do cover songs as well. First of all, here are some of their demos. Here's a heavy metal track, here's the entire prompt for your reference, and here are the lyrics. Like other music models, this can also take in tags like intro, verse 1, chorus, etc.
chaos calls, don't delay. Break the chains, let it all. Shout it loud, beg no more. Burn the rules, end the war. We're alive, can't ignore, can't ignore.
That was intense. As you can see, it can handle all these prompts very well, like guitar solo. Next, here's an Indian fusion example.
The sun melts over the endless plain, a mirage dances like a golden chain. Bare feet trace stories in the cracked dry land. Who holds the map in this empty game? Desert echoes, they call my name. Drums of the earth, they beat the same. Step to the rhythm, one to blame. Desert echo.
Again, a super clean and high quality generation. This sounds like studio grade quality. Super impressive. Here's an example of a classic country folk ballad.
Found you standing in the river's roar. Heartbeats racing like never before. Eyes met mine and time stood still. Dreams were spinning round this hill.
Now, of course, in addition to English, this can also do other languages, so here is a K-pop example. Note that you can even mix in different languages within the lyrics.
신혼을 질러. Oh, let's go. 어둠 속에
Damn, that was super impressive. Everything sounds really epic, but clean. I was really impressed that it can also do these different languages. Plus, it even added some vocal chops. The build-up, the drops, everything was just really impressive and dynamic. Or here's a really nice Spanish example. So this is going to be a modern reggaeton track with a strong flamenco influence.
Esta noche todo te lo daré. En libre ya no me amarraré. Grita mi nombre, dime que me quieres. Me pierdo en tus ojos como si fuera nieve. Esta noche todo te lo daré. Entre tus brazos me quedaré. Grita mi nombre, dime que me quieres. Me pierdo en tus ojos como si fuera nieve. Tus ojos me hipnotizan, me hacen suspirar. Tus labios me llaman, no puedo escapar. Tus manos me tocan, siento la pasión. Cada latido es una explosión. Acércate, man, no me dejes caer. Bailamos juntos hasta el amanecer. Tus labios me tocan, tus ojos me miran. No puedo escapar, mi alma se inspira. Esta noche todo te lo daré. Esta noche todo te lo daré. Grita mi nombre, dime que me quieres. Me pierdo en tus ojos como si fuera nieve.
Sorry, forgot to hit pause there because I was dancing to the song because it was so damn good. I mean, this music generator is out of this world. All these generations are like super catchy and studio quality. I am super impressed by this. Here is a smooth, jazzy, lo-fi hip-hop track with Chinese vocals. The Chinese sounds perfect and very chill. It matches the mood exactly. And again, this is studio grade quality. Next, here's my personal J-pop example. Now, of course, this can also do instrumentals. So here's an example of an intense, high-octane chiptune track. Or here's another instrumental example. This time we only enter vocal chops, specifically phrases like and ah. Let's hear what this sounds like. Here's my own generation. Here's an epic orchestra music cinematic battle. Unfortunately, it can't really do orchestral music very well, so you can hear like the strings sound kind of fake and synthetic. Next, here's another instrumental test. Here is some upbeat salsa with lively percussion and groovy. Now, after hearing these generations, you might be thinking, if this is open source and it's this good, heck, it's going to require some insane hardware to run. Well, get this. You can run this locally with less than 4 gigabytes of VRAM, and you can even run this on just a CPU. With just an RTX 3090, you can generate a song in under 10 seconds. So not only is this super lightweight, but also insanely fast. Note that here, this supports over 50 languages, so it's great for generating non-English songs. Plus, if you look at these benchmark scores, notice that on average, AceStep 1.5 obviously outperforms some of the top open source models out there like Hartmula, but it also outperforms even the closed models like Suno version 5 and Udio. So this is an absolute beast. Next, if you're interested in trying this out, let's go over how to install this so you can run it for free and unlimited times offline. So I'm on their official GitHub repo, and it's actually really easy to install. They already have a really nice graphical interface for this, so you don't need ComfyUI or any other interface. So if you scroll down a bit, here are all the instructions. Now, this recommends that you use Python 3.11, and then a CUDA GPU is recommended, but it's not necessary. This can even run on just a CPU, but just a bit slower. Alright, so the first step is you do need to install UV, and in order to do that, you just need to copy and paste this code into your terminal. Now, if you're using Mac or Linux, you need to copy and paste this. If you're using Windows, like me, you need to open PowerShell and then paste in this. So I'm going to open up PowerShell, and it's best to run this as administrator, and then I'm going to copy this line and paste it in here. All right, afterwards, it's going to proceed to download UV, and then afterwards, you should see this message, everything's installed, and that's all you need to do. So next, let's exit out of this, and then the next step is we need to git clone this repository. Now, this requires that you have Git installed first. If you don't, here's how to install Git. If you already have Git installed, feel free to skip to the next section. I'm using Windows, so I'm just going to click on download for Windows. I'm running 64-bit, so I'm going to click on this to download, and it's now downloading this exe file. So once that's completed, all we got to do is open that exe file and then follow the steps. So I'm going to click on next. I'm just going to go with the default install location, which is program files/git. So I'll click next for that. And then I'm just going to leave this at the default. And then I'm going to click next again and click next here. We're just going to use the default settings for all of these. There's a lot of settings that you need to go through, so I'm just going to click next for all of these. All right, and then it should go ahead and install all the files, so this might take a few minutes. Perfect, so now we have Git installed. All right, so assuming you do have Git installed, the next step is we need to use Git to clone a folder onto our computer. Now, you can choose where you want to install this. I'm just going to clone this on my desktop. So let me open up my desktop, and then at the top bar here, simply type in cmd to open this up in command prompt. And then afterwards, all I need to do is paste this first line in. So let me do that. And this is going to use Git to clone this repository into a folder on my desktop. So after that's done, if I open my desktop, you can see that it has now cloned this AceStep 1.5 folder onto my desktop. And if I open this up, this is going to contain all the files and folders that you see in this GitHub repo. All right, back here, the next step is to change our directory into the folder, because right now in our terminal, we are still in this desktop folder. So let's paste that line in. So it's going to change the directory into this newly created AceStep 1.5 folder. So now you can see we are within that folder. And then the next step is we just need to paste this in, UV sync. So let's paste that in. And this is basically going to use UV to install all the dependencies and requirements that this tool needs. This is the awesome thing about UV is that it's kind of like a one-click installer. So it handles everything for you, including creating a virtual environment, as you can see here. So this is really important because it keeps everything in its own isolated environment so it doesn't affect any other AI tools that you might have on your computer. So now it's proceeding to download all these files and packages, including Torch. So this might take a while depending on the speed of your internet. All right, and after that's done, you should see this line again with no error messages. Next, let's exit out of this, and that's all you need to do to install it. The next step is we can now proceed to run the interface. Now, let me show you how to start this from scratch the next day. So, all you need to do is double-click into your new AceStep folder, and then at the top here, type in CMD to open this up in command prompt. And then afterwards, you can simply type UV run AceStep. So let's copy this line and then paste it in here. All right, now when you start this for the first time, it might take a few minutes to load, but afterwards you should see this. So all you need to do is hold Control and click on this link or simply paste this into your browser. And this is going to open up this interface. Notice that even though this is a URL that runs on your browser, this is completely local. This even works if you use it offline. Now, let's go over this really quickly. When you start this up, you need to click on Initialize Service before you can run any of the functions. So let's go over what all of these settings even mean. This is pretty self-explanatory. Here's where you select the UI language. When you first run this checkpoint file field, as well as this main model path, as well as this model path might be blank, which is okay. This is going to auto-download when you first run this. I've been testing all the top AI video models out there, and one of the best is definitely the Dream Machine's new repaint by Luma AI, the sponsor of this video. This model is a major upgrade, delivering native 1080p video that's faster, cheaper, and more consistent than ever before. repaint is built on top of Luma's breakthrough Ray 3 model, but it's up to 4 times faster and cheaper, while following prompts better and maintaining much stronger style consistency. Here are some examples. Let's do a text-to-video example first. So here is my prompt, and here is what I got. Super impressive. Next, here's an image-to-video example. So I can upload this image, and then here's the prompt. Let's press generate. Again, super realistic and consistent. She looks exactly like the character in the reference image. This can even do start and end frames. So let me input this image as the start frame and this image as the end frame, and then here's the prompt. Let's see what it generates. And it nailed this. The latest repaint also works with Ray Modify, where you can just input any image or video and then edit it however you want with natural language. For example, let me upload this video and turn it into nighttime. And here is my result. Now I can edit this even further. For example, let's make it snow. And here's what I got. Super cool. I can easily replace characters. So for example, let's take the original video and then turn the character into an armored knight. What makes Ray different from other video models is that it's built to understand intent. It doesn't just generate frames. It reasons about what you're trying to create and iterates towards it, which makes it feel like a tool designed for real filmmakers and creators. repaint also shines when it comes to style. Whether it's cinematic realism, animation, or 2D and anime visuals, the consistency is amazing. repaint is a massive upgrade in speed, cost, and consistency. Try it today using the link in the description below or by scanning the QR code here. Notice that here there are 2 different models, so let's first go over how AceStep 1.5 actually works. Note that there's this main model which is in charge of actually generating the music, but then they also have this optional language model. Think of this as like the planner or the composer, so it uses thinking to help you expand your prompts, and it also decides things like the song structure, the BPM, the mood, the sections, etc. This is optional, but if you use this, then the song does sound more structured and coherent and better quality in most cases. Now, by default, at least for me, this is what it downloaded, but note that back on this GitHub repo, they actually offer a ton of different models that you can choose from. Let's go over the music generator models first. This base model is basically the full model. You would use this if you want maximum control and you want the best quality especially when you're doing editing or repainting. And if you plan to fine-tune any Loras from this, then definitely use the base model. This is the most flexible and it's best for customization. But as I'll show you in a second, this base model does require more steps and therefore it takes longer to generate. And then for this one, this is basically the model but with supervised fine-tuning. So use it if you just want to generate music and you don't need to like fine-tune any Loras from this. And then finally at the bottom here are 3 different turbo models. Use this if you want to generate songs fast. So this requires a lot fewer steps to generate a song, so you can pump out a full song in a matter of seconds. Now there are also various shift values that you can choose from. So shift 1 means it's faster but slightly rougher, and then shift 3 means it's a bit better quality but not as fast. And then if you choose this continuous one, then that means you can adjust the shift yourself from 1 to 5. So that's the main music generator model, but notice that you can also download a language model, which will be in charge of the chain of thought reasoning when you're generating the song. Now back to this GitHub, note that here they actually offer 3 different language models with different parameters. Of course, the larger the model, the more intelligent it is and the better quality it would output. So they do have a 4 billion parameter model, which is only recommended if you have a GPU with over 16 gigabytes of VRAM. For me, because I just have 16 gigabytes, it automatically downloaded this one, which is 1.7 billion parameters. Now, if you have like 6 to 12 gigabytes, then it should automatically download this. And then if you have under 6 gigabytes, then I would recommend you disable this language model option. This means you're going to turn off thinking for all your music generations. It's supposed to improve the coherence and structure and quality of your song, but it's not too important. Now, by default, at least for me, this is what it downloaded, but you can also manually download a model yourself. In your terminal, you would simply need to run this line, uv run AceStep download -- model, and then you would paste in the appropriate model name, which is listed in this table over here. So for example, let's say I want to download this smaller language model, which is 0.6 billion parameters. Well, what I would need to do is in my AceStep 1.5 folder, type in cmd to open this up in command prompt, and then I would type uv run AceStep download -- model, and then let's paste this model in here. So now it's going to proceed to download this model and place it in the correct folder. It's as easy as that. Now, if you open up your interface again and then you press on refresh, you should see your newly downloaded model in these dropdowns. And then here for device, it's recommended that you set it to auto. It's going to automatically use CUDA if you have one available. Otherwise, it's going to default to CPU. And then for this 5 Hz language model backend, this is basically what backend to use for the thinking mode if you choose to turn that on. Now here it says that you can choose either VLLM for faster inference, but if that doesn't work, then you can also choose PyTorch, which is more compatible. And then down here, there are various checkboxes which you can toggle. So the first one is to decide whether you should initialize this LM. And if you do this, then it's going to download this model, which is going to allow you to use thinking mode. This basically enhances your prompt and is supposed to make your song better quality. And if you check this box, it uses a feature called flash attention, which generates the song a bit faster. And then if you check this box, this allows it to auto-offload any excess memory to your CPU if it doesn't fit within your VRAM. I recommend you leave this on. And then here, if you check this box, then this explicitly tells it to offload the diffusion transformer, in other words, the song generator model to your CPU. Now, the thing is, up here, I already set the device to auto, so it should automatically set it to my CPU if I don't have enough VRAM. So I don't really need to explicitly force this onto my CPU. So I tend to leave this off. And then for compile model and quantization, this basically uses PyTorch to compile and optimize the model further if you want to run this on low VRAM. But for me, since I have 16 gigabytes of VRAM, I don't really need to do this, so I'm going to uncheck both of these. And then that's pretty much it. Next, let's click on initialize service. And if it's your first time running this, then it's going to proceed to automatically install all the models. You can see that some of these safe tensors files are several gigabytes in size, so it's going to take a while for everything to download. All right, afterwards, you should see this message where it lists out your model and device, and you should see this message, model initialized successfully on CUDA. By the way, if you get any error message, do paste it in the comments below and I'll try to help you troubleshoot. You might actually need to initialize the service and then exit this window and then restart again to actually get this to work. But then afterwards, we can now scroll down and start generating some music. Now, directly below this, we have this Lora adapter section. Here is where we can load a Lora, which is like a fine-tuned model to dictate a certain style for our generation. Now, since this just came out, I don't think there are any Loras for this yet, so you can just skip this for now. But in the future, if you do want to add a Lora to this, you can click on this to enable Lora usage. Anyways, I'm going to deselect this, and then if you scroll down here, here is where you can start generating a song with a text prompt. Now, there are two modes you can choose from. For simple mode, you can just enter a text prompt describing the song and the lyrics. For example, a pop song about Bitcoin crashing, female vocals, English, and that's pretty much it. It would proceed to enhance your prompt further and generate lyrics for you. Or you can select on custom, where you would need to enter a caption and your lyrics over here. So here's just a quick example. And then down here, if you don't want to generate anything with lyrics, you can just toggle this on to only generate an instrumental song. I'm going to leave this off. And then here is where you can select the language. This supports over 50 languages. So right now it's set to English, or you can also set this to unknown to have it auto detect the language. And then afterwards, here are some optional parameters you can set, such as BPM, the key, the time signature, as well as the audio duration. These settings sometimes don't work very well, so it's not that precise, but the audio duration is definitely very useful. So if you want to generate a faster, more upbeat song, then you can set this to a lower duration to compress everything and make it more upbeat. And then for batch size, this is how many songs you want to generate at once. Now, if you click on advanced settings, there's even more stuff you can play around with. So here are how many steps you want it to take to generate the song. Now, in general, the more steps you have, the higher quality it would be, but it's going to take longer, and at a certain point, you're going to get diminishing returns. So it turns out that if you're using the turbo model, then a step count of 8 would be optimum. And if you're using the base model, then you'll need to set it to a higher step count. But by default, this is just using the turbo model, which is already very good. And then here you can also set the audio format. And then you can also play around with this time step shift if you're using the base model, but it's not effective for the turbo model. I just tend to leave it at the default. For inference method, here's a nice explainer. So this Euler method is faster, but you can also select SDE, which might produce some slightly different results. This is basically the algorithm that's used to generate this song. I'm just going to keep everything at the default. And then here are some additional settings which you can adjust for this language model. Again, this is the model that is used for chain of thought thinking. This enhances your prompt, and it's supposed to improve the quality and coherence of your song. Now, there are several parameters you can tweak. This one, LM temperature, basically determines the randomness or creativity. So the higher the value, the more random or creative this is. And then for CFG scale, this is like how literally it should follow your prompt. The higher the value, the more it follows your prompt. The lower the value, the more variable or creative it becomes. And then you can also tweak these values to change the diversity of the words it chooses to expand your prompt or to rewrite your lyrics. Anyways, I just tend to leave these at the default, and it's already very good. So let me collapse this. And then finally down here, there are additional settings you can choose from. You can toggle this think and parallel thinking feature on, which uses chain of thought to help you enhance your prompt further and also structure your lyrics and structure the song so that it generates a more coherent and higher quality output. Now, if you check these, it does require that you initialize the language model up here. Otherwise, it's not going to work. For me, just to make this a bit faster, I'm going to uncheck these. And then over here on the right, there's also this caption rewrite, which helps you enhance your caption further. So that's a ton of settings, but in general, you don't really need to worry about these. Next, let's press generate. All right, that was pretty quick. That only took like 30 seconds for me. Let me play you a few snippets of these two generations.
No stress, no worry. Sunday morning golden light.
Now, by default, these are not saved. Notice that here it's only saved to a temporary folder. So to save it, you'll need to click on the save button where you can save it somewhere else. All right, so that sums up how you can generate music with a text prompt, but there are other things you can do with this. So over here under task type, instead of text to music, there's also this repaint option. So let's select this, and this allows you to micro edit a certain area of an existing track. So let's first expand this audio upload section, and here is where we need to upload the audio that we want to edit. So for example, let me upload this and play this for you first so you hear what it sounds like.
No looking back, running through the
Alright, so next, over here, you can just leave the caption empty if you don't want to change the style of the song, but over here for lyrics, let me paste in the original lyrics first, so it's something like this, and we can edit this further. So, for example, instead of running through the park, let's turn this into running through the hall like this. Now, going back to my source audio, I need to find exactly where she says running through the park. So let me play this again.
Running through the park, leaving a trail.
So it's around the 3 to 5 second mark, so we only want to edit out that section. So for repainting start, let's set this to second 3, and then for repainting end, let's set this to second 5. And that's pretty much it. So instead of park, we are going to change this word to hall. Let's see what it gives us. Let's press generate. All right, so that was super quick. Here are the two generations.
No looking back, running through the hall, leaving a trail like a burning spark. No looking back, running through the hall, leaving a trail like a burning spark.
Perfect. So that's how you can, micro edit a section of the song and get the singer to sing something else, or even switch up the instrumentals, etc. Again, this is the repaint feature. Now, there's even more you can do with this. So instead of repaint, you can also select cover. And what this does is it takes your source audio and it tries to imitate the structure of the song, but with a different melody and different instruments. This is very different from Suno's cover feature. Like, this completely changes up the melody. Here's a quick example. I'm going to upload the same source audio as before, so let me play you just the first few seconds.
No looking back, running through the park, leaving a trail like a burning spark. High on the wind, feet above the grass, move so fast, watch the world pass. Can you feel it? The air is getting thin.
Alright, now if you want to preserve the lyrics, then down here, you'll need to enter the exact lyrics again. And then over here for the caption, you can change this into a different style if you want. Let's say we want to change this song into jazz. Let's turn this song into jazz and then unplugged female vocals. And let's see what that gives us. Now, there's one more setting that you can adjust, which is within this advanced settings tab, and that is the audio cover strength. So the higher the value, then the stronger or the more influence your source audio will have on the cover. Let's set this to 1 and see what happens. All right, let's click generate. And here is what I got.
No looking back, running through the park, leaving a trail like a burning spark. High on the wind, feet above the grass, move so fast, watch the world pass. The air is getting thin, the fire is on my skin. 1, 2, 3 for the job, heartbeat hitting.
So you can see it does kind of preserve the structure of the original song, but it does change up the melody quite a bit. Anyways, this is an example of how you can use this cover feature to change an existing song into a different style while roughly maintaining the structure. So that covers all 3 different task types that you can use with this interface. Now, in addition to these task types, if you scroll down here, there's also this part where you can build a data set for this and then train a Lora, or basically a fine-tuned model on that data set. So for example, if you want to create a Lora that can generate Taylor Swift style songs, then you would create a dataset and plug in a ton of Taylor Swift songs into here and then train a Lora from it. Now, this is beyond the scope of this tutorial. There are a ton of things you need to do in order to prepare the dataset and train the Lora, but let me know in the comments below if you want me to do another tutorial on how exactly to train an AceStep Lora. Now, in addition to this graphical interface, note that there's already a workflow available in ComfyUI. However, the problem with this is currently this only supports text to music, and the other features like cover and repaint aren't supported in ComfyUI yet. And that's why for this tutorial, I showed you how to install this Gradio interface instead. This has a lot more features, and that's currently what I recommend for now. The installation instructions are pretty simple. It's just a few lines of code, plus it automatically downloads the models for you, so it's not too bad. Anyways, that sums up my tutorial on AceStep 1.5. This is hands down the best open source music generator you can use right now, and it's very good quality. I mean, some of these generations are as good as Suno version 5. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, and if you run into any errors during the installation, please paste the exact error message in the comments below, and I'll try to help you troubleshoot as much as possible. As always, I will be on the lookout for the top AI news and tools to share with you. So if you enjoyed this video, remember to like, share, subscribe, and stay tuned for more content. Also, there's just so much happening in the world of AI every week. I can't possibly cover everything on my YouTube channel. So to really stay up to date with all that's going on in AI, be sure to subscribe to my free weekly newsletter. The link to that will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.